Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second webinar under our five-part series, Food Forward, Innovations and Actions to Reduce Food Loss and Waste. We are hosting this series under the Friends of Champions 12.3 India Network. Today's webinar focuses on circular models transforming surplus food into social and business value. As we gather here today, food loss and waste continues to be one of the world's most overlooked yet solvable crises. Globally, we waste over 1 billion tons of food. This translates to a loss of almost 24% of the world's calories. In economic terms, it leads to a loss of around $1 trillion globally. Uh, and it also leads to the equivalent loss in all of the resources that we put in to grow the food, including water, fresh water, fertilizers, land, human labor, and all of that. As food moves up the value chain, the amount of resources involved in pushing the food through the value chain increases, and thus the loss higher up the value chain has that much of more impact on planet as well as people and livelihoods. So with that, towards reducing food waste, there are several strategies that can be adopted, ranging from behavior change towards reducing food waste at source, food waste valorization through leveraging technologies, rerouting food waste for donation for human as well as animal consumption, as well as converting food waste into compost and biogas towards circular models. We have with us today a very interesting panel of speakers who will be taking us through several of these models that can be leveraged towards reducing food waste. I look forward to having a very interactive panel discussion, and once more welcome all of you to our panel here today. With that, I hand over to my colleague, Dr. Shwetmala Kashyap, to take this webinar forward.
Thank you, Rituja. I again welcome all of you to our second session on the food waste circular models transforming surplus food into social and business values. I am very happy to start this session, and we have four different experts who will talk about the different food waste reduction approaches, which will help us to move, as Rituja was talking about the food pyramid, to move this pyramid up, and it will also help to start thinking in towards the reducing food waste at the source level. So it gives me lots of joy to welcome all the speakers and participants, and I will start introducing our experts to all of you. First, I would like to welcome Vandana Singh. She is a director of India Food Banking Network. You will hear from Vandana ki how surplus food waste can be used for the redistribution purposes and how it reduces the food at the source level. Then we have Tanjamal Mohammed. He is the founder of Be the Change. Be the Change is such a nice platform which helps food businesses to sell their edible surplus food. So you can think like from the business's point of view, it is very important to reduce the food waste. So it is also helping to reduce the food waste at the source level. Then we have Krishnan Kasturi Rangan, who is a co-founder and managing director of WasteLink. WasteLink does another like very transforming idea they have. They convert food into animal feed. So that is really nice. Like if food itself can be converted into the animal feed, it is a second way of reducing the food at the source level. Then we have Muhammad Dawood he is a founder of Earth Recycler. So they basically design the management solution for the different various sectors, and they develop different types of strategy, or they provide composting as an option for the reducing the waste. So to start this session, I will welcome all the participants as well as for all the panelists. So to begin this introduction session, I will give it over to Vandana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Vandana Singh. I am leading an organization called India Food Banking Network. It is a not for profit organization, and we have a network of food banks across the country. I'm very sorry, I'm not able to play my presentation, and I will be just speaking. So, we had started with the idea that there are two big challenges which the world is facing. One is food loss and food waste, and on the other hand, there is hunger. So, what we decided was that how can we solve for these two problems simultaneously? We so our mission is to not only reduce food loss and food waste, but also feed people who do not have access to sufficient food or also suffer from malnutrition. You must have seen the food hierarchy. So, whatever food goes waste, the first best option is to prevent that food from going to waste. However, if there is some food which is getting wasted, then it is better to recover it through donations and use it to feed people. The second option is, as you will perhaps hear from the other panelists, is to convert it into animal feedstock or send it for composting. And there are many other things like, biogas, etc. And only the least minimum possible should land up in landfills, because that is where the food which is lost or wasted generates greenhouse gases and adversely affects the environment. As I told you, we are a network of food banks present in 62 locations, and we have a number of programs. The major ones being recovery of surplus food. So the food goes waste in different stages of the food cycle, and we are dealing with surplus food at the level of the packaged food industry and the fresh produce which is available either at farms or at wholesale mandis of fruits and vegetables. So we have for the surplus which is available with the food industry. They have a lot of surplus which much before the best before date, 1 month before the best before date, or even 2 months before the best before date, they take it out from the distribution cycle. And that is what they donate to us at all the food banks across the country. And that is sufficient time for us to distribute it to people in need, which are generally schools for underprivileged children, old age homes, homeless shelters, etc. And the second program, which I was talking to you about, is the fresh produce, which is there at farms and in wholesale mandis, which goes waste. So we have started recovering fresh produce from the farms and the wholesale mandis. The main challenge over here is the logistics of picking up, and because of the perishability of the fresh produce, to quickly distribute it again to our various feeding programs. And is there something I can come back on this if there are any questions later, because I saw that the time's up.
Thank you, Vandana. So over to you, Tanjamal.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tajamal Mohammed, as I was introduced by Ritoja and Shwetamala. I'm the founder of Be the Change, a tech-enabled decentralized food rescue program. And we are not a charity. We are for profit, wherein we keep the dignity of a person, whoever is buying the food, at a reduced price. We don't give away food for free. We've been working in Bangalore at the moment for the last 2 years, and we've been mostly welcomed in most of the places. We've been tapped on our back for what we are doing. How Be the Change works is we rescue the food straight before the time. For instance, if I give you an example, you have a coffee shop where you display multiple products in your display unit, which you need to have it as a business, like till the last minute. So when you are closing your coffee shop or any food business, there are instances where one portion or two portion of the food is left out, which is edible, which is in date, which is good to be consumed. It passes all the food hygiene rating, everything. It passes everything. So how do we tackle this food so that this doesn't end up in the landfill? So what we have come out with is a treat back concept. which is a surprised food in the treat bags. As the business can't predict what food is going to go waste in the night, so the content of the treat bags are very surprise. So you can expect biryanis to sandwiches to cakes, depending on what that business is offering on that particular day. So before the business closes, these street bags will be made out of the food which is still being sold in the store. And just half an hour before the closing time, any be the change customer could reserve the street bags and go to the business and collect it. So we are reducing it at the source before even it goes into waste. Where the logistic is concerned, we don't need to involve any logistic partners here, as it's a community enabled business where people can go and collect the bags wherever they are. It's a decentralized. The businesses are open to put whatever food they've got. They don't need to list the food what is there in the treat bag. So this is something what we are doing it with through our app. We have been working for 2 years and we are well received in Bangalore. We've got about almost about 100 businesses which are onboarded. We've got about 500-600 consumers who are using it every day. The concept works around one third the price. What we say is you pay 100 rupees and you can expect at least 300 rupees worth of food in the bag. Here we keep the dignity of a person. Like, we're not telling them it's a free food. Where most of the places people think charity, we are getting free food. That brings down their dignity in their life. But here we emphasizing more on the dignity. Be the Change doesn't use any branding of their own, again, to keep the dignity of a person. So whatever the packaging is done by the store. So if you take a treat bag from Be the Change and go home, it's as if you're taking it from a coffee shop and going paying a full price. So this is what we are doing at the moment. And any questions you have, how the model works, how are we scaling up to the next cities? I'm more than welcome to answer these questions ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tajamul. So I will just request all the participants, if they have any question, they can put it in chat session. We will be taking it after the panel discussion. So we have over to Krishnan.
Thank you. Thank you, Shwetmala. I'm Krishnan. I'm co-founder of a company called Wastelink. We are a circular economy company. We solve for food waste, and we do that by converting excess food and food waste into animal feed ingredients. Our business is really focused on the B2B world of things. So we work with businesses that are in the business of producing food. So you can imagine any of the food brands that you typically consume, variety of your products, from staples to any ingredients that you'd use while cooking to snacks and so on. The entire range of products that food companies produce. And we convert them into animal feed ingredients. We don't make the final feed product, but we make a nutritious premix, which feed manufacturers can subsequently use to make their end product. So on the supply side, to kind of speak a little bit more about what we do, we work with food companies across their value chain. We visit factories, we visit warehouses, we visit distributors, super stockists, which means we end up covering pretty much the entire breadth of India for many brands that we work with. We aggregate this near expiry and expired food, and we bring them to our processing centers. We have about 4 of them across India now, and of course, as we scale, I think there will be more. And in these processing centers, we depack these food items, because by nature, all consumer packaged foods do come in some sort of packaging. So we remove the packaging from the food, and we create a proprietary formulation. Over time, we have developed a unique formulation that works well for animals. And it's something that we have perfected over time. And we've also perfected a very proprietary process in which to manufacture that in a safe and efficient manner. So we create these nutritious ingredients, and our product, in fact, is now being validated by a government veterinary university and a leading government agency that is responsible for livestock feeding in India is now evaluating the product to certify it as well, so that we can scalably convert food waste into animal feed ingredients and enjoy a wider distribution. And like I said, on the demand side, we work with feed manufacturers. We don't make a product for end farmers directly. We always offer it to a feed manufacturer, who then subsequently prepares the final end product that will go to a cattle feed farmer, poultry feed farmer, and so on. I'll pause here. Happy to answer questions later.
Yeah. Thank you, Krishnan. So over to you, Daud. You're muted.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. So we are a waste management company. We started in 2013. We build, operate, and maintain decentralized waste management plant. We started from Chennai, having presence in 49 cities across India. We have a team of like totally 700 people working across the country. Now we have recently expanded in Middle East. So we manage 450 tons of waste per day. So that includes all the wet and the dry, the organic and inorganic. So 330 tons of organic waste we manage every day. Out of 330 tons, which has been managed by centralized or decentralized. We also work with the municipalities, we work with the corporations, we work with the town panchayats, we work with the bulk waste centers, the bigger buildings, the gated communities. Our smallest plant is of 10 kg per day, and our the biggest plant is of like 200 tons per day. So we convert in a single phase 200 tons of organic waste into manure. So there's one project which has been running, which is our biggest project, where it is with the municipality. We convert 200 tons of organic waste, which is generated in the city level. So we convert that into manure. Though there's no proper segregation, we would have had proper segregation. We could have set up a biomethanization plant, but it's a city level waste. We can't expect 100% segregated waste. We all know about the current scenario. So we get 80-85% segregated waste and 15-20%, which we have developed systems and machines which can sort that, and some automation, some AI pickers, and many other things. But still, it is a challenge. The source segregation has been a challenge for a long time. We are still continuing to find out the solutions for managing the mixed waste. So that is about it. And as a company, we also manage FMCG waste, as Mr. Krishnan was saying. Like, we also get the expired material from the FMCG companies, and we also give it to a cattle feed manufacturer. So that is about us, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Daud. So, of course, we have so many questions. So, to start the discussion first, let us start with the Vandana. So, I have a question like to discuss, like what logistical, regulatory, or technological system do you use to ensure the food safety? Because when you talk about the surplus food transfer to the needy people, there are lots of uh, like this kind of regulatory or technological system is required. So how do you manage that, or how do you address that issue? Yeah, over to you, Vandana.
Yeah. So there are two things. One is the surplus food from the food industry, and the other is the fresh produce from the wholesale fresh produce markets. So let me talk about the packaged food. There, like I said, that we take produce from the packaged food from the industry only which has a shelf life of minimum 30 days still, right? Or sometimes it's even more, and we make sure that it is distributed either to feeding programs or within the community, where there is sufficient time for them to consume it within the best before date. We give only as much as we think that they could consume within a very short period of time, within a couple of days. So that is one thing which we are very mindful of, and also the companies are very mindful of what is the best before date products that they give to us. Then, as far as the fresh produce goes, the perishability is high, and therefore, the moment we are able to collect it, we have tried two models. One is taking it to a hub where they can be sorted and then sent to the individual feeding programs. And secondly is that when we can see at the time of recovery that the produce is perfectly good, in good shape, and it is being donated to us only because it is surplus and the vendor has not been able to sell it within the time limit that he has, and therefore this is totally good, perfectly edible good product, and there we can send it directly to the feeding programs as soon as the recovery is made. So there are two ways: either we get it to a hub and sort it, or we can send it directly to the feeding program depending upon the quality of the produce.
Thank you, Vandana. So, Tajul, I have one question. Like, what role does this street bag play in reducing the edible food waste in terms of behavior change, reducing food waste, and enhancing surplus food access. Over to you.
Be the change nudges both businesses and consumer towards a mindful consumption as a treat bag. The food stores can reframe their surplus foods not as a waste but as an opportunity. When you talk about surplus food, people think it's the business is done now. It has to be wasted. We want to change that mindset. Like the business is not finished by you putting this in the bin, but before it could go to the bin, you can repurpose it as a treat bag, which they can prepare and keep it. For consumer, it builds a habit of choosing surplus food over a period of time, and makes food rescue a part of their daily life. Like they can always think surplus food is always good. It's a good food. The stigma around surplus, we want to take that out. So with this feedback, as they're paying, they're not taking it for free. That stigma can be taken out, saying that this is a surplus food. Instead, we can term it as a good food, like the food which is still good. In terms of waste reduction, the concept of treat back, it's structured in such a way that you predict them beforehand. Like for instance, every store knows that we call the food businesses as store. So every store knows that end of the night they'll have some sort of food which is there, which they have to throw it. So they can predict one treat bag or two treat bag a day, and they can list it well in advance. Like for today, they can list it today morning itself, and this will be ready for them to collect at the night. So it gives them a set where they can predict it. Okay, my prediction is one bag today, so I've listed it. But our app is so intelligent that during the course of the day, even if somebody's reserved it, and if the store thinks that during the late afternoon the business is busy, and they think, oh, I won't be having this street bag available in the night. So why this? It allows the businesses to go back to the portal and reduce the bag from 1 to 0. The consumer who's paid money for this one bag, we would refund him the full amount, or we give an option with the next available business there. So it's quite mindful how the app works. We have set in the algorithms where we're given, as I said, it's a decentralized option where the business is in control of everything. It's not that you are committed for the treat bag every day, but you are committed in a way. It's a tech-enabled business again. So technology today is gone somewhere. So we can always improvise whatever is there, the behavior, as the behavioral changes. Maybe the business will start with 10 treat bags today. With that, they can restrict, they can analyze what's going in the treat bag every day, and then they can modify from 10, they can go down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. So that way it eradicates the waste problem in the businesses. And again, every little waste reduced adds on to a significant compound solution, where we don't need to involve lots of logistics. Like the business bins the food in the bin, and then it has to involve a logistic company to come and take this waste from their places. So what we are doing is we're giving them the actual food cost, what they're spending on the food, and then we are saving them money on the waste transport as well. And then at the same time, we are trying to save the food going to waste, and which impacts the environment, like the save on CO2. So we call ourselves a three-win model, where the business wins by making extra income by selling this surplus food. The consumer gets value for money, and it's a big boost for the environment. Like every treat bag what we rescue saves up to about 700 grams of CO2 going in to the environment, which we're doing the research on it. We have done few research through the internet, and we have come up like it's average to 700 grams of CO2 per treat bag. When we talk about the access of surplus food, we give them the first-hand access before even the store closes. Now, most of the charities, most of the thing, they come after the business is closed. Here, we are giving them the option even before the business closes for the day. We are getting rid of all this surplus food from there. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it keeps the dignity of a person. He's paying for the food, though he's paying very little, but he's paying and taking the food to his home, and that keeps a lot. The approach of treat back would definitely bring in a lot of behavioral change towards the people, where they have the stigma around the surplus food, and it reduces waste, and it's more affordable for people in today's world, especially in the urban cities where the influx of immigrants is more, and then people are looking waste, how can they reduce their cost of living. This adds on value to those settlers in around the urban cities, and it's a good option if we explore more on it. And moreover, I'm here, I can answer many more questions, whatever you've got. In a nutshell, it's a decentralized feedback what we are selling. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanjamal. So I have next question to for the Krishnan. So for Krishnan, like what role do industry partnerships play in building a scalable circular food waste system, and what key operational and regulatory consideration must be addressed to convert food waste into safe, marketable animal feed products?
Yeah, I think it's a good question and something quite critical to our business model, if I may say. Given that we do most of our work is B2B, we end up working with large food brands and large food companies. So, it pretty much starts with their recognition and understanding that they need to do something about food loss and food waste. So they always have a portfolio of options. I think, Vandana's organization, for instance, works with several of the brands we work with. And I think they do try and get the food because, and like she said, she's right, human consumption is the top use of food waste. And anything that you can do to divert food loss, food waste to human consumption, I think is ideal. And if that is not feasible, and when you run a large commercial operation pan India, it is unavoidable that you generate these waste. So these brands have been extremely essential in building this model, and we're actually solving it for them. So, and of course, we have numerous brand partnerships that we work with, and they do it for a number of reasons. Of course, solving for food waste and climate is one of them, but there are a lot of business reasons as well. There are a lot of safety reasons as well. In the country today, a lot of expired food is depacked and sold back in the market. And that practice is prevalent. So unsafe food is being sold by unscrupulous vendors and so on. So it's been quite critical. So the brands too were looking for a ethical, viable solution that they could work with. And so our tech-enabled offering that we have with traceability, transparency built in was quite critical. So we have deep engagements with the various business functions in a brand, in a food company that we work with. And similar partnerships had to be struck on the demand side as well when it comes to animal feed ingredients. Globally, it is a common practice for former food stuff to be used in animal feed ingredients. And in India, it is relatively new. So a lot of education was needed. We of course have a team of veterinary doctors whom we work with. So they would spend a lot of time with the nutrition science partners in these feed manufacturers. And we've done a lot of other work to help people understand the efficacy of the feed ingredients. So we got our product tested with a leading veterinary university. And I told you, there's a government agency now evaluating this as well. So and which is on the back of which we've built a lot of industry partnerships on the customer side. And to the extent now that they want to co-develop the product, because look, these are real fundamental problems in these industries. The animal feed industry is struggling with access to raw material, cost-efficient raw material. There is a point at which humans and animals are pretty much fighting for the same grain of food with limited land and agricultural land and so on. So being able to use every grain that we produce is extremely critical in kind of solving for this problem. So we have both, I think, on our supply end as well as in the customer end, we have built really strong working relationships to build this. Finally, on regulation, it's an interesting problem and it's always a work in progress. I think there was not much in this space, and now there's been recent regulations. It's an up and down. There's some good things as well. I think there's a lot happening around preventing any misuse of expired food, and all of that is great. I think there's a few other aspects about regulation which I think the authority is still trying to figure out, which is how to determine what is safe for animal nutrition and so on. So I think a number of our stakeholders are involved in that process, trying to work with the regulatory authorities to define a framework. Because ultimately, what determines what is safe for an animal is its microbiological construct or the contamination levels, right? So as long as you can ensure that safe animal feed can be produced from former food stuff, it's a great outcome for all the stakeholders, food, feed, and the planet. So that's kind of been our approach on the regulation side of things.
Yeah, thank you, Krishnan. So next question is for Daud. So since you are talking about the decentralized waste management, so what have been the most effective strategies for aligning with municipalities and residential communities to scale waste diversion effort? And another question is like, how can decentralized composting be part of mainstream urban system?
See, like the challenge which we have been facing since we started the source segregation. So when the Swachh Bharat campaign has started in 2016, we were talking about not to litter waste, but that rule book also carries that waste should not end up at landfill. Bulk waste generators has to manage their waste themselves. Whoever generates more than 100 kg has to process the organic waste and convert that into manure or set up a biogas plant. But the challenge, the source segregation was the biggest challenge. Nobody was ready to do it. So we started in 2013. We've been working with many tech parks, malls, and commercial buildings. But in the residential was the biggest challenge, like segregate at the source. We never used to get the segregated waste. Even in the commercial establishment, we never used to get a segregated waste. I was able to meet one dean in a hospital in the city called Vellore. There's a medical college, a Christian medical college. It's a very famous college. So when I said, no, sir, only if you give us a segregated waste, we'll be able to set up a plant. We can set up a biogas plant or a composting yard. Then he asked me, if a patient comes to me, I'm a diabetic, give me medicine. I cannot tell him, like, you stop eating sugar, come after 1 year. So if you say you're an expert, you need to find out a way out. How will you suggest us to do the segregation? That then when we started talking to customers, like, you tell us the current scenario. So we started talking to them, and then they were like, we did some small changes. Like, generally, what usually used to happen in the apartment complexes, uh, they used to have a common bins or a garbage chute system in the high-rise building. Whether you keep 2 bins or 3 bins, whenever we see bin, we don't drop the waste sensibly. We mix everything together, and then that ends up at the landfill. So what we did is, like, we stopped doing this. We have closed this garbage chute and then stop keeping this color coded bins. We used to do door to door collection even for the high rise buildings. If the waste is not segregated, we will not collect it. We'll give an awareness for 2 to 3 months, and then slowly we tell them, and then the association used to put penalties. That's how we were able to achieve 95-96% of source segregation. In case of municipality, I would have been talking to many IAS officers and was telling them, like, we have systems only if we have a segregated waste. Only in 2020 we were able to understand, which is not possible currently, to get a segregated waste in the city level. Then we revamped our machines and then designed machines in a way where even the mixed waste can be sorted out using the mechanized segregation. Metals can be removed by having eddy current separator. Ferrous, non-ferrous metals can be removed. So that's how we were able to achieve the 450 tons. We're still diverting it. We're doing it more than 500 locations across the country. Though it is 100 kg plant or 200 kg, 200 tons, we're able to customize machines and then set up things, because we have our in-house manufacturing of the organic waste management machines. That's how we're able to do it, ma'am. Of course, there are still challenges on the source segregation, but still we cannot wait till we get the segregated waste. Like Mr. Tajmul's initiative ensure that the waste does not end up at the dustbin. So we only get
Yeah.
dry waste, which is very easy to manage.
So segregation is a big challenge when you see the
Segregation is a big
decentralized.
challenge, ma'am. That is the only challenge what we are facing. But still, we are able to achieve it. It takes a lot of time to implement, educate, and then if 10% of the people dispose the waste in an unsegregated manner, the whole 90% gets spoiled. So that's the challenge. So everybody has to segregate.
So this is like a very good point which you brought. So thank you, Daud. So with this, there are many questions which is coming from the participants. So first question which I will pose to Vandana, as well as I think Krishnan can also answer. The food which we are talking, food waste from the human consumption, can be reused as a livestock feed. So are there limitation after 2 or 3 days, like how long we should take it, like what kind of food we are using for the animal feed? So basically, this is the question is from the participant side. Over to you,
Krishnan
Vandana.
will be able to handle about this, actually, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, happy to speak to that first. No, I think it's an important question and a valid question, right? Which is fundamentally the underpinning of our business. You absolutely need to test for safety of the or of the food material that you're collecting and converting into animal feed ingredient. Given that it's B2B and it's an industrial process we collect from, it kind of some of those checks and balances are built into the system. The frequency of pickup, how quickly we collect as soon as the waste is generated, how quickly it gets processed, maintaining the right what do you call moisture levels and so on, so that no fungal growth or anything can happen. A lot of that is just built into the system when you work in a B2B environment, and you actually have greater control over the various items that you deal with, and are able to produce to a certain level of consistency and output. So yeah, I think, and in addition to that, several checks and balances. We test for quality of the material, both visual inspection as well as testing. And the beauty, after we make our ingredient, when it goes to our feed manufacturers, literally every vehicle getting, and only after the samples are tested and approved are they offloaded. So the whole, and it's similar to any, I'm sure the food production industry, of course, has its own set of standards and rules in which they test for quality. Very similar thing happens in animal feed, which basically tests and ensures that the materials coming in are fit for animal consumption and safety. So I think it's fairly routine, and like I said, scientifically it's been done internationally as well. So it's not one of those. We're not doing it for the very first time ever. We are just doing it in a scalable manner in India for the very first time.
Mr. Krishnan just wanted to add one thing. Sorry, Yashwadmala. See,
Please go ahead.
generally the food we diverted to for cattle feed or animal feed, it is not a cooked food. It's actually groceries and grains, actually. It's not cooked food.
Correct.
It should be dry in condition. It should not be wet or moisture, which cannot be diverted. In case of the vegetable which is being generated, the market can be diverted. But I'm sure what Krishnan is doing, we do similar work, and we also hold such licenses to manage FMCG based. It's only for the dry grains, not for the cooked food.
Correct. These are not restaurant food. This is not your biryani and burgers,
Yeah.
but these are
Just
from.
wanted to add that maybe
Yeah,
for the
no, good
vegetable
point. I
market.
think.
Yeah, no. See,
Yeah,
that is the reason I wanted you to answer for that, but
yeah,
I got a little confused. Cooked food
yeah,
can't be diverted. India does not, rules does not allow us to do it.
correct.
Maybe from the market, vegetables and fruit peels can be diverted.
So it is more like rice if it has crossed the expiry date,
Yeah,
or
generally rice does not
pulses,
have an
those kind
expiry.
of thing.
As
Yeah.
old rice you get, that's the expensive rice,
Better.
but there's no expiry for rice. But still, what is happening is if you don't have an expiry in India, so it will be there for decades in the shelf.
That is true.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Krishna. I have many questions for Tanjavul. Mainly, it is about the people, participants want to know. Can you elaborate more on your model and also elaborate who are the customers typically you have? And what is the scale you are working on, or you are planning to, are you going to increase the scale of your model? Like how you are doing that? Yeah. Can you please explain about that?
Sure, I was just going through the questions. The main question revolves around the safety of the food, what has been offered in the treat bag, how safe is it, what happens when we take it home, whether can we eat it, or is it still the business is liable for the food safety once it's gone. So the simple answer is there's a misconception. That's what we need to come together and clear this misconception of surplus food. So instead calling surplus, let's call it a good food. So our concept works before the business closes, before even the food expires. So now, for instance, if the business is operational till 10 o'clock in the night, we offer the treat back at 10:30 or 10:30. Sorry, 9:30. That's 9:30. Half an hour before the business closes. So this same food is being sold in their premises for a full price. And the same, so at 9:30, if two customer walks in, one is a be the change customer, another one is a normal customer for the business, both gets the same food. Now, there is no difference between the food from be the change customer to the normal customer. So whatever procedure they're following it for the normal customer, they follow the same procedure for the be the change customer. And it's the same food from the counter what they're giving. So the misconception of the restaurants will be held at ransom after the food is gone, that could happen with their own customer. And before we onboard any business, we do check their food safety procedures in the place. Are they following the temperature checks, which are minimum what they need to do twice a day? Are they following all, they are not tampering with the expiry date on the product if they are having? Are they not, they're following the shelf life of the product which has been displayed? We do check that. Other than that, we do the mystery audit ourselves. We go buy the bag, reserve the bag. We have people whom we involve, we pay them to do it. They collect the bag, they open the bag, and they give us a feedback like, yes, the food was worth it. We paid 100 rupees for the food, and we ended up having food worth 500 rupees in our house. And the food was well in their packaging, it was well in the shelf life. Now, any food, what a normal customer takes it and leave it out in the house for a whole night and the following whole day, and then in the night he opens it, definitely the food will be spoiled. The same thing happens with B2C food as well. So the misconception we need to clear, it's not surplus doesn't mean that it's a left out food from the plate. No, it's a good food which is getting sold. So that misconception is what we need to clear to the mass public through this platform, where surplus doesn't mean it's a waste. It's a good food. And secondly, the question about scaling up, we are still in our infancy. We are trialing out in Bangalore. We have been successful. We're looking at South India, the major cities in South India. Maybe we'll get into Chennai if Dawood helps us out with some sort of introduction with the food
Welcome, sir.
businesses.
Welcome, sir. We'll support you, sir.
And then I think Minhaj, one of our colleague, was in touch with Vandana as well to how to work together before even the food can go to charity. How can we rescue it? So we are speaking to people where the demand is more. We don't want to go and collapse. We want to go with a foolproof plan. We work on a business model. There were questions about how do Be the Change make money. We work on a business model where it's a commission based. We take commission from the businesses for whatever treat bags we sell. And we have a yearly subscription for them, which is nominal, so that they commit to it. It's not that we were offered with few of the NGOs that why don't you make your treat bags free so that many people can reserve and take it. But that doesn't help the food getting rescued. I can offer the treat bags free on Be the Change platform, but there would be people who just reserve the treat bag, but they don't go to collect it. So again, we are encouraging on food waste there. So we wanted to have it as a nominal price. So we collect small commissions from the businesses to survive. That's pretty much. And if there are any more questions, I think I answered all the questions, Shwetamala, Dr.
Yeah,
Shwetamala.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tanam. So next question is to Daud. Like, there must be like, how did you manage when you were talking with the municipalities about the decentralized treatment processes? How did you manage that legalities which you have to do? So there is a one question from the participant
So
side.
we manage legalities the way it is managed in India. Very simple.
Okay.
The
Can
way
you
it is
elaborate?
managed,
Like,
the way it is managed with the road contractors, building contractors, the similar way the legality has been managed in India with the municipalities. The question has so many other
yeah.
hidden things, so which is not being clear. So legalities, the way it has been managed in India, we are managing it. There's one more question. I don't know how to respond to that in the chat box. There was one more question about the metal content in the waste, which is being converted into compost. So that we do 58 parameters test in the compost before we dispose it to the farmers. Okay, there was one more question. I am just wanted to answer that.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So that's
Mr.
all. So we do the 58 parameters testing on our compost before giving it to.
Okay.
On the legality side is the way, as I told you, the answer. It has
Yeah,
been
I
managed.
got
The way
it.
it has been managed.
Yeah. So next question is for Vandana. Like, are there efforts to change agricultural waste into packaged food for human consumption?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Are there efforts to change agricultural waste into packaged food for human consumption?
Agricultural waste. You mean surplus in the surplus fresh produce?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, we are looking at, so especially farmers, for example, if there is surplus which they are not able to sell at remunerative prices. So there could be, we could put up, we have been exploring options to, if we can dehydrate them, dry them and package them and then sell them throughout the year. So we could involve NGOs or self-help groups in the village also who can do this kind of thing. So we are looking at solar dehydrators, etc. But it is still early stages, and I hope by this year end we will be doing something of that kind.
Thank you, Vandana. So this was really a very interesting discussion. We have like come up with like as Vandana was discussing about the two different models which is existing. Then Tanjamul also said about the businesses towards the mindful consumption, like how it will help and good food quality can be developed into a kind of business models. Then lots of food can be converted into animal feed, which was discussed by the Krishnan. Then Daud also explained about the biggest challenge in the decentralized waste management. What we see is segregation of waste. So I really thank all of you to come here. I'll pass it to Anar to take it forward. Yeah.
Thank you, Shwetmala, for bringing out such good insights from our experts. And especially, all of you are working on so many innovative models, bringing in circularity to how we deal with food. And, in your diverse ways, you're trying to divert food away from landfill. And making sure that, how do we get the best out of waste and surplus as well. Sometimes fit to consume food is, just ending up in landfill. That's something we really want to avoid. So, it was really insightful listening to all of you. And thank you so much for, answering all the questions. On that note, thank you to the participants. It was because of your questions we were able to make this discussion very lively. And so many misconceptions and myths that even I had, and I could see those coming in our questions as well, right? Like we cannot have the food we cooked and diverted away to animal feed, because we need to make sure that that's also a part of the food chain and has to be nutritious. So those are really interesting dimensions that we brought out today. On that note, I would like to say our goodbyes, but before that I would also like to welcome you to our next session, because this was only second of our 5-part series of webinar sessions, and the third one is going to be a hybrid mode. So if you all happen to be in Delhi, please do join us at Reset. It's a national level food loss and waste dialogue. And you can also participate online if you're not able to make it to Delhi. So the third one will be on food and climate. So I welcome all of you to join that as well. And on that note, thank you so much. And as always, please, the team as well, who's the backbone of these webinar series, to turn on their camera and we can have a group picture, please. Kritika and Shweta.
I will keep my camera off. I am the picture clicker. But just give me 1 second, please. I'm just clicking it. I think I may have got it. I've got it. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a lovely discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.